I have a feeling these are going to be really, really good ribs. What's up everybody, it's Drew Wilkins with Swine and Bovine Barbecue, and in this video we're making some super easy, saucy, direct heat spare ribs. Let's get going. We have ourselves a great looking set of spare ribs here. Prairie fresh, per typical. That is what I cook most of the time if I'm cooking ribs. We're gonna go ahead and trim these up. Got the shine bone right over here we wanna take off. So we'll just get through that. Lots of bone and cartilage in there. Don't want that. Take off this skirt meat. Fat right here. Really thin over here, unfortunately. Would like to keep a little more on, but we're gonna have to cut about that much off. That's super thin, it'll burn up. There's lots of good meat right up in here that doesn't have cartilage, and you can separate the bones out of it. Use that for sausage. Take a little bit of these rib tips off. Give it a uniform shape. Come over here. Remove the hard edges. This is super thin right here too, so get rid of this rib. Get rid of a little bit of that fat right there. Won't get much color to it, so we don't want it. Got ourselves a nice trimmed spare rib. Season it. These are gonna be some very simple, easy spare ribs, and we're gonna season them as such. So going on with some Diamond Crystal kosher salt to start things off. Pretty liberal coat, per usual. If you're using Morton's, sea salt, table salt, anything else, go much lighter. Then I'm gonna come over the top with some 12 mesh pepper. Anything direct heat, I like going 12 mesh. It's a bigger grind than 16 mesh, but if you only have 16 mesh or just coarse restaurant grind pepper, that's fine too. It's more of an appearance thing for me. Flip it over, do the exact same thing to the other side. Our ribs are nicely seasoned, so these are gonna hang out for a bit. Let's go fire up our pit. Our pit's cruising along at 300 degrees, so let's get these ribs on. We're gonna let these go for probably an hour on this membrane side. We did not take the membrane off when we were trimming the ribs. I love the crispiness that it adds on a direct heat cook, and really even an offset as well. So we're gonna leave it on, let that crisp up, shut it down, and let them cook. We're an hour in. It's time to flip our ribs. We've settled in around 325 on the chud box, which is exactly where I want it, so that's perfect. So let's flip it and see how this underside's looking. That looks great. Very happy with that. So we're gonna let it get some color on the meat side now. And this is when I would typically say, let's shut it down and go make a mop sauce, but we're doing something different this time. Normally, after flipping the ribs to the meat side down, we'd go make ourselves a mop sauce, and I absolutely love mop sauces. Learned about them through Chud's Barbecue. I've made a ton of different variations of them. I absolutely love the flavor that it brings to direct heat barbecue. But today, we're doing it a little different. Like I said, saucy and easy in the intro. And we're just gonna sauce these with some Salt Lick spicy barbecue sauce. You can use the original if you don't like it spicy. If you've watched this channel, you know that I like things spicy. So we're just gonna put a pan on this lid, dump some of this sauce in it, let it get nice and warm so we don't get brush marks or it tacks all up over our ribs. And then right before it's time to flip them, we're gonna hit the back side, flip them, hit the front side, do that a couple of times so our ribs have a chance to caramelize on the cooker and the sauce caramelizes with it. But I'm very excited to try this, as simple as it is, ribs and barbecue sauce. I've never done it on a direct heat cooker, so I think it's gonna be really, really good. Got an hour meat side down, so it's time to hit the back side of these ribs with some of our sauce. Just gonna lightly put it on. Not trying to add a ton of sauce, but we certainly wanna know it's there. Gonna let that tuck up for just a little bit, then we're flipping them. 5 minutes later, and it's time to flip them. These bone side down. First we're seeing to the meat side, and they look fantastic. Let's give it a mop. Same thing as the back side. Shut them down for 5 minutes, then we'll flip them. 5 minutes later, it's time to flip them back to meat side. Sauce looks like it's tacking up nicely. Oh yeah. Got some solid caramelization. So we don't want to leave it on too long either side to avoid burning. So we are going to put just a little bit more on. 5 more minutes, then it's rinse and repeat. 5 minutes later, let's see how this meat side is looking. Pretty excited about it. Oh yeah, that looks really good. I'm going to shut it down, let this tack up a little bit, then we're going to pull them. 5 minutes later, and it is time to pull our ribs. Now I am going to hit them with a little more sauce one more time, just to get them a little extra saucy. Now we're going to pull them, put them in some aluminum foil, lightly tint it with the meat side up. Usually we go meat side down when you put ribs in aluminum foil. We're going meat side up. We want this sauce to stay on and tack up as the ribs stay warm. That way when we cut them, which we do meat side down, it'll stay on the ribs better. I have a feeling these are going to be really, really good ribs. Our ribs have cooled off. Let's see how they look. They look really, really good. That sauce tacked up nicely. They're not super saucy ribs, and that was never the goal. I didn't want them to be coated in barbecue sauce, but that sauce is cooked onto them. The extra we added prior to wrapping them up, and again, they weren't fully wrapped, they were just loosely tinted, has tacked onto the rib nicely. So let's slice these up, see how they look. As mentioned earlier, I cut meat side down. It's easier to see the bones on spare ribs. So let's give these a cut. Got these all cut up. Let's go for this big boy right here. Got plenty of moisture in the rib. Looking great. Again, that sauce, you can see the board. None of it really came off, which was the goal. It's all cooked onto the meat, tacked onto the meat. So let's see how they taste. It's time to eat these ribs, and they couldn't have been easier to make, which is one of the themes for this video. Fast, quick, and easy. Salt and pepper, a great rack of ribs, and then we relied on Salt Lick for the sauce, which we used instead of a more traditional, I guess, mop sauce for direct heat barbecue. So enough waiting. I'm gonna bite into one of these bad boys. Cheers. These are really, really good, but the barbecue sauce flavor is very, very subtle. Much more subtle than the mop we've traditionally used when doing direct heat barbecue. And we didn't really mop it much less. When I mop a mop sauce that I traditionally make that's vinegar based with some garlic, onions, butter, I only hit the ribs typically one time on the backside, maybe 2, and then anywhere 3 to 4 times on the top side. And we hit each side twice on this one with a little sauce at the end before we put it in the wrap as well. So the sauce isn't coming through as much as I thought it would, but it's a really, really good, pretty clean pork flavor. Just they get the flavor from the fat dripping on the coals. They're a really tender rib. Probably took them a little too far, to be honest with you. They're coming off the bone pretty easy, and I like a little bit more of a tug than that, so we'll get them next time. But membrane is nice and crispy. I tell you, leave it on if you've never tried it. Cooking direct heat or even on an offset, something that's got airflow or over some direct heat, it's a nice little touch to the rib. But what we've got here is just a great, clean tasting rib, salt, pepper, direct heat. You got that fat dripping on the coals, providing a lot of flavor. And then some Salt Lick barbecue sauce that's more muted in flavor, but it's there and it provides a really good rib. Rib never stood a chance. These ribs are incredibly good. I definitely recommend giving them a shot. I do prefer the other style mop sauce over this. So maybe the next time I try this, I'll try and put the barbecue sauce on a little earlier, maybe get a little more of that flavor, or go on heavier when it's time to wrap, or maybe put some on afterwards. But you know, it does not like they need to be doused in sauce to be good. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button. And if you have any suggestions on what you want to see me cook next, or what you would do differently, or barbecue sauces you'd want to use on this, whether they're your own recipe or store-bought, please leave it in the comments below. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.